welcome to the Deep Dive. You gave us a heavy stack of sources this week. It covers a really critical period, spanning the end of 2025 and the start of 2026. If you were enjoying the holiday break, you likely missed what amounts to, well, an absolute reset of the AI infrastructure and operational strategy over at Amazon Bedrock. Our mission today is to synthesize these updates. We're going to focus on this definitive shift toward production-grade AI agents, some massive infrastructure commitments, and new efficiency tools that directly impact your speed and your cost.
That's absolutely the right framing. And this deep dive isn't about, small incremental feature bumps. This week saw core institutional changes. We're seeing AWS making a huge strategic bet. They're moving agents out of that experimental phase and putting a real laser focus on cutting the cost and latency of running these complex LLMs in production. It's the infrastructure game changing the application game.
So let's start there, at the foundation. The headline that really set the stage for 2026 was a massive infrastructure commitment.
Right, announced just before the new year. We have to talk about the multi-year, multi-billion-dollar strategic partnership between AWS and OpenAI.
Which was finalized right before the break.
Exactly.
So for those catching up, what was the scope of this commitment? I mean, the number is huge.
It is. AWS and OpenAI signed a multi-year agreement worth a staggering $38 billion. And that's for OpenAI to run and expand its next-gen AI workloads on Amazon's cloud infrastructure right through 2027 and even beyond.
Okay, here's the strategic takeaway. Why does a deal of this magnitude with OpenAI, who, let's be clear, is a direct rival to Amazon's closest partner, Anthropic, why does this validate AWS's strategy?
Because it validates Amazon's position as the neutral, indispensable infrastructure provider. A deal this big grants OpenAI immediate access to specialized top-tier compute. We're talking Amazon EC2 UltraServers, packed with the latest NVIDIA GPUs.
The kind you need to train the models we'll be using in a few years.
Precisely. It basically confirms that if you are training the largest frontier models, it doesn't matter who you are, you're probably going to rely on Amazon's core compute layer. It shifts the landscape.
That sets the foundation. So here's a little teaser of the stuff that really impacts your code and your budget this week. We're going to unpack this new teacher model paradigm, how Amazon Nova Premier is being repurposed. We'll also introduce a prompting technique that can slash your token use by up to 76%. And we'll explain the new Bedrock cost tiers, which are designed specifically to stop you from overpaying for non-critical AI tasks.
A lot to get through.
Okay, let's dive into segment A, the core intelligence engine. We're talking models and efficiency. And this shift in philosophy around how we use large models, it really starts with the technical revelation about Amazon's own foundational model, Nova Premier.
This is where that teacher model concept comes to life. Around December 29th, Amazon Science released documentation characterizing Nova Premier. Well, not just as a general-purpose powerhouse. They're now positioning it specifically as a high-capacity teacher model optimized for distillation.
That sounds great in theory, but what does that mean in practical economic terms for a developer working on Bedrock?
It means you shouldn't be running Nova Premier for every single production query.
Yeah.
It's not built for that, cost-wise. Nova Premier is designed to ingest massive context. It supports a huge 1 million token context window to analyze really complex, large documents.
Like corporate filings or detailed reports?
Exactly. Its primary cost-effective job is to generate highly accurate synthetic data or labels or fine-tuning instructions, which are then used to train your smaller, cheaper student models like Nova Pro or Lite for very specific tasks.
So it drastically lowers your per-query inference cost in the long run.
That's the idea.
That's smart. Use the big gun to build the training data, then deploy the specialized small gun. And to back this up, AWS released new benchmarking data using a very modern evaluation method.
Yeah, on the same day, they detailed new performance data where they used Claude 3.7 Sonnet as an LLM as a judge to evaluate model reasoning.
Which moves beyond just the traditional benchmarks.
It does. It looks at more nuanced markers like coherence and depth of logic.
And the interesting finding was how tightly clustered the performance was, especially between those top two tiers.
Exactly. Nova Premier got a median score of 8.6, showing superior token efficiency and complex reasoning, but Nova Pro scored 8.5.
Just a 0.1 difference.
Just 0.1. And when you weigh that against the increased cost of Premier, it strongly suggests that for, maybe 95% of tasks, Nova Pro provides the optimal balance of intelligence and inference cost.
The focus is now on efficiency, not just raw power.
The market has shifted.
And to give users maximum flexibility in choosing that balance, we saw a massive model catalog expansion from Bedrock.
Yeah, in late December, Bedrock added 18 fully managed open weight models. They're from providers including Google's Gemma 3, Mistral AI's Mistral Large 3, plus models from NVIDIA and even OpenAI Safeguard models.
So what's the concrete advantage of having this sheer model sprawl for our listener?
It's the API parameter switch. That's the key. This expansion brings the total diversity to around 100 serverless models. And the crucial developer benefit here is that you can now switch between these models, say, from a Mistral to a Nova model with a single API parameter change.
Without redeploying any of your underlying infrastructure.
None of it. It enables really rapid production-level A/B testing of your model choice.
Okay, let's talk efficiency hack of the week.
Yeah.
This promises the sort of operational savings that get noticed on an invoice. Chain of draft or COD?
This is a direct answer to the token bloat we saw from traditional chain of thought, or COLT. COLT was great for accuracy because it forced the model to think out loud, but those verbose explanations they drastically increase token counts and latency. COLT throws out the verbosity.
So how does chain of draft force the model to be concise?
COD instructs the model to use high-signal compressed thinking steps. Think of it like forcing the model to write its internal monologue as bullet points on an index card. The constraint is brutal. Each reasoning step is limited to 5 words or less. It forces the model to focus only on the essential logical components it needs to get to the final answer.
Wow. And here's where the implementation testing becomes crucial. What was the impact on cost and speed?
The results were startling. The testing showed that COD can achieve up to a 76% reduction in total token usage compared to verbose COT.
76%.
And that's for structured reasoning tasks on Model 2. Furthermore, that efficiency translated directly to a 79% cut in latency.
That is not a marginal improvement.
No, it's a fundamental shift in the economics of high-volume structured reasoning tasks.
But is this a magic bullet? What's the trade-off for getting that speed?
It's best suited for structured, deterministic tasks where the logic steps are clear. Think data extraction or transformation. If you need highly creative, long-form, or abstract reasoning where the verbose explanation itself provides necessary context for a human kite, might still be the way to go.
But for pure back-end processing efficiency.
And that, Kite is a game changer.
That token efficiency is huge, but as enterprise adoption ramps up, speed means nothing if your agents are unpredictable or unreliable or insecure. Which naturally leads us into segment B, AgentCore maturity and developer tools. This is all about productionizing AI.
Absolutely. The Bedrock AgentCore platform saw crucial new capabilities introduced in late December that make agents finally ready for enterprise compliance and continuous quality monitoring.
Let's start with policy and evaluations, which were introduced in preview. What problem does AgentCore policy solve?
Policy allows security and governance teams to define strict boundaries for agent actions, but, and this is key outside the reasoning loop, this means the agent, regardless of what the LLM tries to reason, simply cannot perform an unauthorized action. Security teams can use natural language or the CEDAR policy language to define these rules.
Wait, for those of us who aren't policy language experts, why is CEDAR important here?
CEDAR is Amazon's open source language that's specifically designed for authorization. It's powerful. It means you can define these really granular, expressive security rules like this agent can only access customer records for region X only between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. and only via this specific REST endpoint.
So it turns agent governance from an abstract idea into declarative, auditable code.
Exactly. And Evaluations then closes the quality assurance loop.
Right.
Evaluations is a fully managed service that monitors real-world agent behavior after deployment. It offers 13 pre-built metrics.
Things like correctness, helpfulness.
Exactly, and adherence to company voice. So you can continuously monitor quality and set up alarms when performance drops below your acceptable threshold. This is the difference between a prototype and a real operational system.
They also made agents smarter and more conversational by upgrading AgentCore memory and runtime. Tell us about this episodic functionality for memory.
Episodic memory is long-term learning. So instead of just relying on the immediate context window, agents can now capture structured episodes, a specific interaction, the actions taken, the final outcomes, and retrieve those learnings later.
Okay, give me an example.
Think of it this way. It solves that frustrating customer service loop where a bot asks you the same question 6 times. Now, the agent can recall that you booked a trip to Paris last month and use that learning to inform its future planning actions. It creates true consistency.
And the runtime upgrade, bidirectional streaming, sounds like a game changer for voice applications.
It is the simple explanation for why AI voice agents suddenly feel more human. Bidirectional streaming means data flows instantly both ways, enabling natural, low-latency conversation. And crucially, the agent can be interrupted mid-response and immediately adjust to the new context without a delay. That reduction in conversational lag is what makes voice agents feel fluid.
Okay, next up, making agents easier to connect to your existing enterprise systems. AgentCore Gateway now supports API gateway targets.
This streamlines tool integration through something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. The previous pain point was having to manually export complex API gateway APIs as these massive OpenAPI 3 specification files just to define the tools for your agent.
Which is an error-prone process.
Very. This update eliminates that. You can now directly expose your existing REST APIs to agents, complete with existing IAM or API key authorization, and it dramatically cuts integration time.
We also saw an official reusable architectural blueprint for building RG systems for documentation.
Right. This official framework uses Amazon Novalite and Bedrock knowledge bases to build AI-powered website assistants. The blueprint shows enterprises how to unify public website content and, sensitive private internal S3 docs into a single conversational interface. But, and this is important, it strictly maintains security boundaries through data source filtering. It's the proven path to solving that internal knowledge silo problem.
And to wrap up this segment, Bedrock Data Automation focused on document processing speed right at year-end.
Yeah, Amazon Bedrock Data Automation now supports blueprint instruction optimization. So instead of spending weeks on complex model training,
You can just provide a few examples.
exactly, provide a few example content assets with ground truth labels. This lets users achieve production-ready accuracy for custom document processing outputs in just minutes, leveraging the foundation model without a full bespoke fine-tuning cycle.
All right, let's pivot to segment C, infrastructure, pricing, and DevOps. This is where the cost conversation really changed entirely. We already discussed the foundational strategic agreement with OpenAI, but let's talk about the immediate financial levers available to you, the customer.
The biggest change here is the introduction of the new Bedrock service tiers, announced just before the new year. Amazon Bedrock now has 3 new inference service tiers: Priority, Standard, and Flex.
And the idea is to match performance with cost on a per API call basis, right?
Precisely. If you have a mission-critical application, say real-time fraud detection, you use the Priority tier. This tier gives you preferential compute allocation, offering up to 25% better output tokens per second, or OTPS latency. This is crucial when microseconds count.
Okay, and what about the other end of the spectrum? What's the appeal of the Flex tier?
The Flex tier is the economic hero here. It offers a massive 50% discount for workloads that are non-urgent or can tolerate delayed processing.
So things like batch processing, overnight analytics.
Perfect for that. Or internal tasks where the SLA is flexible. The trade-off is the possibility of delayed processing, but the saving is significant.
That sounds almost too good to be true. What should users be aware of when they're using the Flex tier?
You really need to understand your workload's tolerance for variable latency. Flex prioritizes lower cost over guaranteed speed. If your system depends on a fixed latency window, you need to stick to Standard or Priority. Flex is for truly flexible, asynchronous jobs.
Speaking of making smart cost decisions automatically, intelligent prompt routing reached general availability.
This is a crucial piece of, let's call it, GenAI ops infrastructure, and it's fully automated. It dynamically routes incoming requests between models in the same family, like Novalite, Pro, and Premier, based on the predicted quality or cost profile for that specific query.
And what's the quantifiable saving this router provides? What does the internal testing show?
The testing showed that this router achieves an average 35% cost savings for the Nova model family compared to just always defaulting to the largest model.
And that's while maintaining baseline accuracy.
Rigorously maintaining it, it ensures you only pay for the intelligence you absolutely need for that query.
And finally, in this segment, developers got a massive operational boost on January 4th with the CloudWatch Quota Dashboard. This addresses a very specific developer headache.
A huge headache. Calculating tokens per minute, or TPM, usage to avoid hitting throttling limits. The calculation is complex. It involves input tokens, cache tokens, plus output tokens multiplied by a burn down rate. It's a formula no human wants to track manually.
So what does the dashboard provide?
This deployable CloudWatch dashboard just eliminates all that complex manual computation. It gives you real-time visibility into your Bedrock model quota usage against service quotas. For large-scale agent deployments, this prevents inadvertent throttling outages during peak periods. It's all about clear visibility into your capacity.
Moving swiftly into segment D, safety, policy, and governance. The message here seems clear. Responsible AI implementation is now dramatically cheaper.
That's because on December 28th, Amazon Bedrock guardrails pricing was reduced by up to 85%.
An 85% reduction. Why is that such a major strategic move for enterprise development teams, especially those dealing with compliance?
It directly removes a massive financial barrier to implementing comprehensive safety features. Guardrails enforce policies across both user inputs and model responses. By making these responsible AI practices so much more affordable, they become scalable and accessible, even for the largest, most cost-sensitive deployments.
And Amazon also formalized its approach to managing the risks that come with the most powerful AI systems.
Yes, the Amazon AGI team formalized its Frontier Model Safety Framework documentation. This framework outlines specific procedures to manage risks by establishing what they call critical capability thresholds. These are basically evaluations designed to detect potentially harmful abilities, like those related to cyber attacks or generating biological threat information, just to ensure responsible scaling.
Let's wrap up with segment E, showcasing how major enterprises are already adopting and scaling these solutions. These examples provide that aha moment for how you can apply this technology in practice.
First up, a fantastic example of cutting administrative toil from Condé Nast, demonstrated just before the new year.
They were tackling content rights clearance, which historically is a bureaucratic nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. They needed to automate content rights clearance across their 12 international markets. This was a process that took weeks of manual labor reviewing legal contracts, checking asset usage rights, before a piece of content could be published globally.
And what did the new AI system, built on AWS Lambda and Amazon Bedrock, accomplish?
It transformed that weeks-long, critical, but frankly non-valuable manual process into an instant validation step. By using the AI system to read and interpret legal documents, they just dramatically accelerated their time to publish.
It's a perfect illustration of AI eliminating necessary friction.
It really is.
Our second example involves democratizing AI internally at Thomson Reuters.
Right, so Thomson Reuters detailed the success of their platform called OpenAI. This is a no-code AI creation environment built entirely on Amazon Bedrock. It's designed to put the power of AI into the hands of non-technical staff.
And the adoption numbers really speak to the platform's success.
They do. OpenAI supports 19,000 monthly active users. It has enabled the creation of thousands of customized AI solutions by non-technical professionals, analysts, editors, researchers. It demonstrates that with the right underlying platform, you don't need deep coding expertise to build real enterprise-grade AI solutions. The platform is the expertise.
What a dense week. Just to quickly recap the biggest themes that will define 2026. First, that foundational infrastructure commitment, the $38 billion partnership with OpenAI, cementing AWS's role as the compute utility provider. Second, the dramatic improvements in efficiency, epitomized by the chain of draft technique cutting token use by up to 76%. And finally, the maturation of autonomous agents with AgentCore policy and evaluations, moving them squarely into secure, governable production territory.
The overarching analysis is this. The strategic shift is away from general-purpose AI development and toward specialized, cost-predictable, and governance-driven agentic architectures. Performance is no longer a fixed trait of the model you select. It's now a tunable parameter. You can tune it via services like the new Bedrock Service Tiers Priority, Standard, and Flex and Intelligent Prompt Routing. You are now expected to manage performance and costs simultaneously, tuning the system for every individual request.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you. We discussed Amazon Nova Premier being designated as a teacher model for efficiency. The key to scaling profitability is shifting focus to training highly specific student models rather than deploying the largest model for every single task. So what is the single most verbose, costly process in your current workflow that could be distilled into a focused, low-latency student model? That is the immediate payoff of these updates.
That's the challenge for your next sprint.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll talk to you next time.